Hello, and welcome to part 5 of our 9-part series of chair yoga. Today we're going to work on some standing postures using the chair as a prop. So there'll be no getting on the floor, and this may not be right for everyone, but just so you know, we will be using the chair to support us. If you are more advanced, you may not need the chair. You can still work all of these moves. So we want to make sure our chair's not rolling away from us since we're using it for stability. You may need to put a mat down underneath you to help with that. And we're going to start warming up with some very basic leg movements. So I am holding the chair for support with one hand. You may prefer to hold with 2 hands. So choose your position. We're going to balance on the right leg and just let that left leg swing front to back. Doesn't have to be a big movement. It may be a big movement, but I would start small. Just feel that range of motion. And you may be able to increase that range of motion. Don't kick you all down like I almost did. So just work. We're just warming up. So there's no real intention here of getting into something big. Just warming up the body, increasing that range of motion in the hip. Completing on side 1. I'm going to do the same thing on side 2 again. You may prefer both hands for stability, or one, or you may not need any help supporting. So gentle, front to back, start slow, moving into that range of motion based on what space you have, based on your body. Just a few more rounds. I'm going to let that leg slow down, come to an end. Now, same thing, we're going to do a lateral motion, going side to side. So I'm going to stay facing the camera so you can see what I'm doing again. This may be better if you use 2 hands to hold on to your chair and then create that movement side to side. So you can see that we're just crossing in front. So even if you're holding on, you are challenging your balance. You're building strength in that balancing leg. You're working your core. So you're getting a lot of benefits here, even with support. We're going to go to the other side. So again, change if you need to. Support or no support. I'm just moving so I've got room to swing the leg. And these moves alone, great work for the hip, keeping that range of motion going, keeping the fluids flowing through the joints. So this may be something simple you can include in your day if your hips are a troublesome area. And bringing this leg to a close. Taking a moment to catch your breath, we're going to work in a simple balance move. Again, using our tree for our tree. We're going to do the tree pose, and we're using our chair for support. So, if you're familiar with the tree pose and you know you don't need a prop, move away from your chair and give yourself some space. If you're new to this or you're unsure, just work with me and we'll find your appropriate level. So, again, you may like both hands on the chair. I'm using one so you can see my movement. So holding on to the chair, what I want you to do is we're going to balance on the side that's close to the chair. So that's the right side for me, and I'm going to lift that left foot. I want you to start by just lifting the heel off the floor. Knee pointing out in front, pointing out towards me. If this feels good for you, lift that foot up off the floor, maybe even resting it on your leg. Just don't be right on your kneecap. In this position, you may want to add an arm. This may be enough for you right here to challenge your balance. But make sure we're not pushing into this hip. We're going to try to keep the hips level. Easier said than done. But just don't throw all of your weight into that balancing hip. If this is easy for you, angle that leg out to the side. Pointing into the middle, easier for your balance. Out to the side adds challenge. From here, arms can be in any position. You may find you don't need the arms. Maybe having the chair close by is just a mental support for you. But we want to be injury-free, accident-free, finding that spot that works for you. No shame to use supports. Let's go ahead and release side 1. and move over to side 2. You may need to turn around or change position so the chair is supporting you on the opposite side. If you're with me, we're balancing on the left leg. Just starting by lifting the heel of the right foot, toes on the floor, knee into the center. That's going to be our simplest move, and it's okay to stay here. Add your arms. 1 arm, 2 arms. To work a little harder, lift that foot completely off the floor, resting it on the shin or above the kneecap. Again, support, no support, arms, no arms. If you imagine a forest, every tree looks just a little bit different, and so will we. That's the way it should be. Angling the knee out to the side for added challenge. Adding the arms is going to increase the challenge. And not using the prop at all, obviously, little added extra. Only for those of you who know that you're stable, do you want to take that challenge. Let's go ahead and release side 2. I'm going to shake that out, nice big breath. Let's take a moment to breathe. I'm going to change the position of my chair. You may need to move or reposition yours. So we're going to be working more with the seat of our chair now. So go ahead and take your time, move your prop, get into position. We're going to turn and face the seat of our chair. Hinging from the hips, I want you to place the hands down on your seat. If you're more flexible, you may want to come down to the forearms. We're just going to stay here for a moment. Feet about hip distance apart, toes facing forward. And what I want you to do from either position is work on lifting the head and the tailbone, belly drops down, sway back. This is our cow position. We're going to work into an angry cat. Push the energy down into the hands and the feet, roll the spine up. And we're going to reverse that. Just go back and forth between these two moves for a round or two. And we're returning to neutral. And we're going to throw in another balance challenge. From here, if you like, hands stay on your chair. We're going to balance into the right leg and just lift the left foot. That may mean just a simple lift. That may mean toes barely off the ground, or that may bring leg parallel to the floor. So you've got a few different options here. And if this is not right for you, keep working your cat and cow stretch. And you can join us right back there when we're finished our balance. Again, more advanced, lower down to the forearms. Let's go ahead and release side 1. 1 round of cat and cow in the center. Find your breath and prepare for side 2. If you're with me, we're balancing on that left leg, lifting the right. Whether you just barely lift the foot off the floor, bend the leg, or parallel to the floor. Any of those options is going to help to improve your balance. Balance is something that decreases as we age. So if you're getting up there in years like me, sometimes practicing balance just keeps us level. We may not always show improvements, but we actually are improving because we're not declining. So it's important to include a little balance work in your life. We all know as you age that falling down can bring disastrous health repercussions. So go ahead and release side 2. We're back in position for cat and cow. Let's go through another round or two just to rebalance the spine. And I'm going to offer you an alternate to this. If this is working well for you, feel free to continue. If you have a little more challenge left in you, we're going to turn this into a supported plank. So we're going to take our hands and really grip the chair, not too close to the edge because we don't want our hands slipping off. And we're going to step the legs back behind us. If this is too much, maybe just one leg goes back, or two legs go back. So you're in almost like a push-up position, using some core strength, using some arm strength, holding yourself up here. Suppose may not be for everyone. If you're here, you can turn this into a supported down dog by lifting the hips. Head drops down. And you may be able to flow between these two moves. Again, don't be afraid to go back to your cat and cow stretch. This one is a little more advanced. We'll do one more round of whichever one you're in. Stepping those feet together, releasing off of the hands. Go ahead and roll your wrists around. Roll the other way. We're going back to that position. We're going to work into the legs a little more. So facing your chair again. Hands for support. It's okay to be on the knuckles. Let's start with our right leg forward and our left leg steps back. So you don't want the left foot right behind the right foot. You're not on a balance beam. Feet are still under the hips, just the left foot is stepped back some. Now, as we bend into this front knee, we're feeling a stretch up the left calf. I'm just going to hold that for a few breaths. From here, we're going to change our weight distribution. We're pushing the hips back. More weight goes into the left foot as we straighten this right knee. Toes on both feet still facing forward. We're going to add a little forward bend here, maybe lowering to the forearms, stretching up the back of this right leg. Continuing to breathe here and shifting your weight. Your weight should be fairly even between the front and the back foot and even across the soles of each foot, from heel to behind the toes. We're going to lunge back into this front knee, and hands may stay here on the chair, or if you feel like you can take a little more, we're going to add the upper body, lifting away from the chair, hands to prayer. This is the start of a warrior one pose. If you need the chair, that's fine. Keep using it. You may be able to lift up here just for a few breaths and then come back to the chair. Still getting great benefits. We're going to stay here for another breath or two, even adding arms if you're feeling really strong. Go ahead and release the hands to the chair if they're not already there. Step the feet together. Again, standing up. Roll your wrists around again before we repeat that on the other side. Take a few nice deep breaths, using the arms or not. We'll just take 2 or 3 here to fuel the body as we get ready for the other side. And we're going back into position on the other side. Might be a little harder for you to see from this angle since I'm working on my opposite leg. But if you're with me, we got the toes facing forward, feet about hip distance apart, resting on the palms or the knuckles. And this time our right leg steps back. We're working into that calf lunge. So we're working the calf muscles in the back of that right leg. Just lunging into this front knee, supporting our weight here on the chair to get that stretch into the calves. You should be breathing. Doesn't have to be any fancy breath pattern. But remember, in yoga, we do not hold our breath. We're going to shift this focus into this left hamstring. So adjusting the feet as you might need to. I'm going to work on straightening this left leg. Squaring off the hips. weight is even between the front and the back foot. Lowering down even further if your hamstring allows. The chair is holding up some of our upper body weight, which is keeping the strain out of the spine. So that's always going to keep you safer. So this may be a good way to practice the pose and reap the benefits until your core strength is built up and your flexibility has increased. Just another breath or two here. We're going to change this into our warrior one. So we're lunging back into that front leg, lifting back up on the chair. We want a nice wide stance with the legs, so you may need to walk the right foot back a little bit. And if you're able, you can lift off of the chair, use prayer hands, like feeling that stretch through the hips. Pelvis tucked under, you can kind of feel that stretch in the hip flexors in the front. Continuing to use the chair for support if that's working best for you, and only if you need a challenge, add some arms. Looking good, feeling that strength and power in the legs. So we bring the hands back to the chair, step the feet together. Inhale, rolling the spine up. Here we're going to close our session. We're going to close our session with breathing. Nice deep breathing. Inhale, reach the arms up. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Hopefully, either have room away from your chair. You can just relax down onto the chair. We'll repeat that again. Inhale, reaching up. Exhale, folding forward. One last time. Inhale, reaching up. Just relax those hands down to the side. Just do a few head circles to rebalance. Circle the other way. Closing out those circles. Bring the hands back to prayer. Nice big breath. Say thank you for joining me. Remember to use subscribe, turn on the notifications, and make sure you're staying connected with me so your episodes in our yoga series. Thank you again for joining me. Namaste. And go in peace.